You could make that work. You can't make that.
The audio and video is on and we'll start in about a minute. I always remind the public in the room that everything you say will get picked up by these ceiling mics. That means silence, I guess.
So it's probably see it's not but yeah, just like on his own street. So, but he goes, yeah, he did. Let's not do that again.
Simpson. Her son.
By the time we start the pledge, it'll be safe.
Call this meeting to order. Folks, these lives will be pledged. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thanks, Robin.
Roll call, please.
Moto Johnson. Katie Johnston.
Here.
Diana Mendoza.
Here.
Vicky Pettit.
Here.
Tyler Wilson.
Here.
Robin Vaughn.
Here.
John Brotherton.
Here. On to number 2, motion to approve the agenda, removing and correcting items as presented.
Make the motion to approve the agenda, removing and correcting items as presented.
I'll second that.
John Brotherton.
Aye.
Robin Vaughn. Aye. Tyler Wilson.
Aye.
Nikki Pettit.
Aye.
Diana Mendoza.
Aye.
Katie Johnston.
Aye.
Next, we're going to close session, so I apologize for those who are here. We will get all our normal things, but we have to have a closed session right now. So we will adjourn the meeting and.
We need to make okay. Yes. Okay. Have someone makes the motion.
I can make the,
Katie's gonna make the motion.
oh, okay.
The motion. Or
Yeah, I'll make the motion to move to closed session regarding the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific.
I second. Thank you. Nikki seconded. Call vote.
Katie Johnston.
Aye.
Diana Mendoza.
Aye.
Vicky Pettit.
Aye.
Tyler Wilson.
Aye.
Robin Vaughn.
Aye.
John Brotherton.
Aye.
And the board will go ahead and move to the closed session room. And for the public, I will be turning off the audio and the camera while we are not in here, but we will resume. I would like to give an estimate, but that's not a good idea. So whenever we return.
Oh, because-
All right, audio and camera are on. Yes, we are already back in open session. The board voted in at the end of closed session, so it's back in this public session, and it's time for public comments. We have, I believe, one.
And
She just went the restroom, I think she just walked out.
Yeah.
If she comes back in a few minutes, the board okay?
Can we just go back to that?
Yeah.
Well, I don't really know what's going on. We should talk about recycle.
Oh, I think that's great.
Let's move ahead to number 6 and when Sandra comes back, we'll do number 5.
Right.
All right, we are on the consent agenda. If our currently a guest, if you would like to come up to the hot seat. In the consent agenda, we have the regular items, and then I do want to highlight some personnel items, and we have a guest at the table here. So board, I am excited to recommend Mr. Jamie Roundtree to serve as Rancho City Schools Director of Curriculum and Instruction. Jamie has been a teacher and an administrator in Champaign Unit 4 for the past 20 years. Roundtree most recently served Unit 4 schools as the principal of Booker T. Washington for 5 years. Prior to that, he was the Director of Elementary Teaching and Learning and held that position for 5 years. Roundtree's other Unit 4 administrative experience includes serving as principal of Barksdall from 2012 to 2014, assistant principal of Bottenfield from 2010 to 2012, and Title I summer school principal for 3 summers. He began his career in education as a 5th grade teacher at Southside Elementary in August of 2005. Roundtree earned his Bachelor of History from the University of Illinois in 1998 for the youngsters. He earned his Master of Elementary Education in 2005 and Master of Educational Organization and Leadership in 2010, both from the University of Illinois. He recently secured his superintendent endorsement and continues to pursue his doctorate at the U of I. According to Jamie, quote, "I am excited to join the RCS family and help to support the amazing students, families, and staff by creating meaningful learning experiences that allow us all to identify strengths of this community." Unquote. So, Mr. Jamie Roundtree is here. Are there other applaud you? Now we hope they vote yes. Board or Mr. Roundtree, do you have anything you want to say?
Yeah, I just first want to say thank you for the opportunity. I'm crazy excited. I haven't been anywhere else. I did a little substituting up in the Chicago area, so I've been ingrained in Unit 4 for a long time. And I got to say, sitting on the interview team and just meeting the people there, it was an instant drawn to the leadership here. So I'm really, really excited to learn from and about them. I'm also really interested in learning from and about the students, the families, and the staff in this district as well, to try to identify and see what they want in their educational experiences, so we can start to work towards that and what they want from their educational experiences. I think once I can help identify some of those things, then we can try to help connect the dots. But as I said in the interview, I always come here not with answers or suggestions. Just I'm here just to ask, what do you need and how can I help? So my hope is that I can help you guys move the direction you're trying to work towards.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll make him sit there till we vote. All right. Other personnel items there is a job description for a district bilingual coordinator. And I need to note, because I did not have this in the document that was in your packet, I didn't put the number of workdays, I just put XXX. So it's 210 workdays. So I'll update that prior to us posting.
Told me it was 50.
No, not for you. Bilingual coordinator.
I got you.
Kelly Mahoney, principal at Northview, I'm recommending that she move to a 12-month position, which would include what she's been doing for several years, which is our K-5 summer programming, summer schools, what she's been doing. Also, Allison Didier, assistant superintendent, 1-year contract extension for her. Other items in the consent agenda are the formal finalization of the school calendar. So the last day of school is May 28th. And annual approval of the board calendar, and that's just the dates that we meet. So that is it for the consent agenda. Comments?
I'd like to make a motion.
The motion to approve the consent agenda items, including personnel report as submitted with stipulation that each individual is required to comply with all requirements for new hires as indicated in Illinois statutes and RCS board policy and procedures, including ratification of bills prepaid by the finance manager under board policy 450.
I second.
What I can say, Howard, I think you've lost your position.
I think she does a good job. Sorry, buddy.
Kiki Johnston,
I.
Diana Mendoza,
Aye.
Vicky Pettit,
Aye.
Tyler Wilson,
Aye.
Robin Vaughn,
Aye.
John Brothers.
Aye.
Well, congratulations. You don't feel like you have to stay for the rest of the meeting, and you can move out of the hot seat now. We're gonna jump back for public. Thank you.
I am gonna take off. I gotta go get to the track meet, so.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks, nice meeting you.
Yes.
I'm now.
Ready, sir. Come on up.
Sarah Woodrum, I've been here before. I just want to say that I don't think we have a recycling program at our school. And I definitely know that we don't have one at Northview. I've never seen any kind of recycling or anything like that. And I know they did in years past, many, many years past, there was recycling. I remember kids taking totes around and everything. So in honor of the Earth Day that's coming up here on Monday, I would like to recommend that the board put together a recycling program for all locations of Rancho City schools.
Any questions?
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Bring that to our attention.
We're on to item Miss. Right.
Yes.
You gonna come up or do it from over there?
No, remember.
No.
Friday.
Yes.
Great.
Oh, Michelle's coming up too.
Where's Michelle? No, I still thought it was Greg.
It's weird for me to.
Who called you Greg?
Double
Oh,
team, okay.
called you
I
Greg.
called you correctly. Go ahead and introduce yourself, just so, because I called you by the wrong.
Michelle Fry, I am the curriculum and PD teacher leader with Lindsay Ribach for the district. Jennifer, I'm the assistant superintendent. But I've seen you before.
So we were asked earlier this week to share information about the instructional advisory and give you an update of where we are with the literacy plan and which comes to the instructional advisory committee. And so for those of you who aren't familiar with our instructional advisory committee, we thought we probably should give you a little bit of background, what it is. It was started about 6 years ago to give teachers voice. And so we have on the screen.
You're pointing out the problem with our new setup.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I brought
Dang it.
I printed it out. So really it is for teachers to have the voice to on the curriculum information that we look at, to be able to research it, pilot it, give feedback, advise those of us at the district level of what the needs are in the trenches, so to speak, and just be able to have that voice between the two. So we have been doing that for, like I said, the past 6 years. And currently this year, we're going to tell you more about the literacy plan, kind of where we are with literacy. But I do want to give an opportunity to share how the process goes when we are looking at curriculum, so you kind of have an understanding. And we this year did a social studies pilot for 6th through 8th. So I'll let.
Yeah, so our social studies practice started last year with Lindsay Rubach, and then I kind of stepped in when I started the role as well. So there was a need heard from the junior high teachers at Ader of a need for a different social studies curriculum resource. We had been using a different one for a while, and there were concerns over the years about it maybe not meeting the needs of our students. So Lindsay and a subcommittee, or I'm sorry, I skipped a whole spot. This is why I took notes. So that need was brought to the instructional advisory committee. And the instructional advisory committee went ahead and made a motion to create a subcommittee of the social studies staff that wanted to participate in this. And they went ahead and did a review of the current resource. They did research on other options out there. And then they chose something to pilot. Typically pilot a few things, but in this case, there are a few social studies teachers at Ader. There's 4 or 5 depending on the semester. So they chose to pilot one material, one curriculum resource, and they did that for this entire school year. So I've worked with them for most of the year, just checking in on them, you know, what's going well, what are the pros and cons of the resource, what else do you need? The company was very helpful with anything else we needed as well. And then they went ahead and made a recommendation back to that instructional advisory committee to say, yes, we want to adopt this curriculum resource for our social studies 6 through 8. So that came back to that instructional advisory committee and they went ahead and approved that and said, this will be the resource we go ahead and move forward with for next year too. So that's kind of a brief thing about how that works and how that's worked between last year and this year.
So then we take that information and then we budget for it. So then we bring Chris in, we look at our grant opportunities for funding for the curriculum materials for the following year and professional development. So that's kind of how the process works on any of the subject areas, the content areas that we're looking at. The one we're going to talk about tonight is the focus on literacy, because that's been a pretty hot topic. We actually started last year as the state was talking about their new literacy plan that's coming out, that has come out now. It was just being talked about last year. They were doing a lot of surveys asking about what was happening in the schools. And so as part of that process, we started having conversations through the instructional advisory committee, doing a review of our current practices, the materials that we have, anything that we've adopted. We always have already looked into the research, make sure it's research proven specifically for our demographics. So those are already qualifications. So we weren't so much concerned about that. It was, do we have all the components that they're looking for in our teaching practices and our resources that we have available? So we had started that conversation last year and did some research. And a program that we already use both for literacy and math, for reading and math, is through Curriculum Associates. And that, so if you've heard the Ready Math, that is Curriculum Associates. So we're familiar with their products. We've seen good growth with those products. And they have what's called magnetic reading. And so that was put forward as something to pilot. We've had teachers, we had 8 first and second grade teachers pilot it this year, and 17 in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. That includes doing the special ed co-teachers in that pilot. And the vote, when we brought it to back in the spring to look at the data, first of all, our data looked pretty impressive. And I'll tell you a little bit about the magnetic reading. So one of the things that we determined in this process is that we'd heard from the teachers and looked into a little bit more was that explicit instruction of phonics. So teaching kids how to decode words was an area of weakness across our schools. And so that was part of the audit that we did. Let's look, do we have curriculum materials that could support that? And I think really what we found is we don't have a lack or a shortage of actual resources. We actually probably have maybe too many resources available, and it gets a little overwhelming for teachers to know what to use. So by going through this pilot, the teachers really expressed that it helped them ensure that they were explicitly instructing in the area of phonics. It tied in nicely with the other pieces that we've been doing. So the recommendation that came forward through this process is that we were going to adopt for next year the magnetic foundations for 1st and 2nd, and magnetic reading for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. And then we have had a bit of a deficit in the instructional practices around writing. Writing is a key piece when it comes to learning how to read. And so we looked into the writing piece that goes along with it, and we're going to move forward with doing that next year as well. We had been doing a lot of Lucy Calkins, and if you know anything about the Lucy Calkins materials, they're very, it's very heavy for teachers to learn. You have to read a lot of text. And we have enough teacher turnover, the training and implementation. It becomes a real art. And this is definitely something that's a little more attainable for our staff to be effective at teaching. So the other piece that's really important that we started looking at and planned for this year is that professional development piece, because the quality of your resources are important, but the quality of your ability to instruct, your teaching strategies, your understanding of how to teach is critical. And most people who go through school in education aren't taught how to teach children to read. You're taught all about the theories and the ideas behind it, the components, but how do I teach that kiddo who doesn't know how to read, especially when you get to the older grades. So we invested in some pretty intensive professional development that started this year. One of them is letters training, and I'm not going to be able to come up with what that stands for, language. Anyway, I know, you can Google it real quickly. I appreciate it. So the letters training was for our pre-K teachers and first grade teachers. The pre-K does a half semester, and it's units of study, and they did implementation in the classroom. And it's explicitly teaching them how to teach the letters and the sounds that is research proven of how the brain learns to read. First and second grade. Then the first grade they're still on it for a whole year. And that is a 2-year-long commitment for them to do that. The other piece for the 2nd through 5th grade is called Keys to Literacy. And that helped, it focused on working with students with dyslexia, comprehension, word work, so more bigger components, how to bring phonics into the upper grades. And so teachers have been going through that all year. And we've had a lot of really positive responses from teachers about the skills that they're using through that. So that's another piece that's really critical for us to really strengthen. It's the resources that we have, but then also the ability to utilize the strategies and to teach effectively to our students. And then the last piece is the Illinois Comprehensive Literacy Plan. Since we have gone through this whole process, we have been, there's a group of administrators that have been going with there's a workshop through the ROE, the U of I, and ISU. And we already went to one session, did a full review, and so they present all the information about the literacy plan. It helped us because we had already gone through a review of our materials, so we could see the connections. And then we have met since then as an administrative team to kind of look at what does this look like? Because our next step is we have the resources, we're aligned with the plan. Now, how do we help the teachers understand that this is how you teach, the schedule that you teach in, and these are the resources available to meet each of these components. And so that's the piece that we're on right now, is actually scheduling it out. If you start with a read aloud, here's your resources for read aloud. For the phonics, this is how much time, this is what materials are available. That will give us that consistency across schools and ensure that we have kind of an outline. So we have one more session with the state, and where we're going to continue to kind of work through that process, and then come back and present to the teachers and get that implemented starting next year.
And then we'll go ahead and move into bilingual literacy review next year through the instructional advisory as well, and look at our resources for that. Some of that's been started, but we'll make that a little more formal through the instructional advisory next year too.
I'm in the letters training, and it stands for Language Essentials for Teaching of Reading and Spelling.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Well, we're not supposed to allow public comment.
You didn't answer.
I Googled it. I didn't solve it yet. Give me a hard time.
Do you guys know, is there a plan like this for the bilingual program? Because I'm just thinking about what they said to me, that it was hard for them to even know what to do in order
Sure.
to teach.
So the Illinois Comprehensive Literacy Plan is for bilingual classrooms as well.
Okay.
So we've started with our monolingual, but that doesn't mean that the bilingual is an afterthought. That's just something as I've kind of started through the curriculum office, reviewing with the teachers, what resources do you have? What are you using? What are you not using? And then we'll move forward with that through the instructional advisory committee next year.
So whatever is implemented is going to be utilized across the board.
Well, not all of the monolingual resources work for bilingual either, right? So not everything from magnetic reading comes in Spanish yet. So that's kind of where we have to look at what are we already using and what's working? And then what do we want to do to tweak that too? Just like we're not, we're not taking things away or adding without reasons and talking to the teachers and looking at how the students are reacting to it too.
The models for good teaching strategies will be the same. It's a matter of what resources are most appropriate to teach those skills to each group.
So I do want to thank you. I don't give a question.
Thank you.
This is some of this, what we're talking about with literacy is significant changes for our teachers. It's been a lot of work for Allison, Jennifer, Michelle, Lindsay, our professional development group. And the training commitment that especially our early elementary teachers have had this year is significant. But it's a good move, and but as Jenny said, the challenge has been, and we're closing that now, is teachers aren't taught how to teach reading, which seems pretty basic. Some are, I wish to say some, but it's where you find that really K through 8, most teachers don't know how to do that. So.
Thank you so much for all that you do.
This is.
Okay, ready for number 8. This is honorary naming of JW Gym. And I think it's important that we honor and remember these that have given so much to our district. And I think we're all here aware of what Mrs. Carter, Margaret Carter, has done for our district and for this community, and she continues to. Some of you may not be aware of Cal Summers and what he did. I can speak personally just because he was my coach. And I don't want to sound like I'm bragging, because I'm not. But I participated in athletics all the way through college. And he was by far the best coach I ever had. High school, college, and I had good coaches. He had a way to make you believe. And he did that for many, many students. When he passed, it was unbelievable, the people that showed up for his funeral. I'm talking about governmental people, I'm talking about state people, I'm talking about local officials, I'm talking about just common folk like myself. There were so many people who had so many things to say about what he did and his influence on me. Not, please don't take this as I'm not taking away from Mrs. Carter. I mean, we know about what Mrs. Carter is. I want people to know why, but I think that we should name the gymnasium after Coach Summers and Mrs. Carter. I can go on and nauseam, so I'm going to stop. But I would really appreciate us being able to do this to honor these people who do not so much richly deserve this. So that's it. Thank you.
So I think the proposal for the board to consider is honorary naming of the gym at Ager for Ms. Carter and Mr. Summers. And so I did check board policy. We're not renaming a building. That's a whole different ballgame. Okay, so mean, basically the board can decide to do it. It's actually the way it's written in board policy, the superintendent can do it. But I think this is a great way where it's, you know, board members bringing it up to do. So what we have to talk about though is, well, what are we going to call it? We don't have to decide tonight either, actually, but, and then, you know, what would how do you want, give me direction on how you want me to go about doing it? As far as, do we wait until
I've
it's,
already been given direction.
right?
What do you think?
Okay, so, Mrs. Brotherton has a plan apparently.
Yes.
All right,
That's what
so,
it sounds like.
but, you know, so I guess, how do we want to proceed?
Well, and again, please interject here. I think we would put up a signage above the stage at here. You know, Hal Summers and Marguerite Carter's gym, say something along that line. I would like to see something maybe in June or July, an honoring of them. That would give us some time. 'Cause I talked to Tanya about this, Tanya Carter.
Yeah.
And she was in favor of this, but she said, please don't tell my mother.
Well, it's out now.
Yeah, it's out now, but don't tell her. I was gonna call her and talk to her about this, if this was okay. And Tanya said, don't, it doesn't matter. We're gonna do this. So,
Okay, she'll say no.
yeah, she would, and I,
No,
and,
no, no,
you know,
no.
that would be typical of her. To say, no, you don't need to do this, make it for
Yeah.
Coach Summers. Well, no, we're not gonna do that for that. Both of them. If you all agree with this. And I thought maybe June or July that we could have a get together. People could be, we could invite people. And have a ceremony in the gymnasium. And I'm concerned about Coach Summers' family. Cindy Summers, their daughter, is, I think, the closest living relative. Coach Summers, of course, died at 82, and Mrs. Summers just passed recently. And so I would think it'd be Cindy and her brother Scott, be the two remaining people. And I hope by a week or so, I could get a hold of them and see what they think about coming to this if they can. But I just think that we should do something way of honoring them and just have it a little get together. I don't think we need to do something, you know, huge, but I think it'd also be nice to get something in the paper. Is it? And I think that'd be a nice gesture because there's a lot of people who know Mr. Carter and remember Coach Summers. And I think you'll be surprised. I'm constantly bothered by that, bothered by people saying, hey, didn't you have the guy? I say, oh, certainly. Yeah. So.
And they're both responsible for quite a few trophies over there.
Oh, yes, you look at that special trophy case, there's.
So,
So
go ahead.
do we need to decide on name order? And if we're doing full names, like, you know, I think that probably is like logistically.
There can be just a motion. It'll set the ball rolling. If a board member were to make a motion to rename the gym at Ager after Hal Summers and Margaret Carter, and then I can start working on something more official. Because I already like, is it the Carter Hall, Carter House Summers gym, or the?
Because if we put it
Carter
above the stage,
Summers.
which I think is lovely, that's a lot of letters.
Yes.
So,
Would it be possible to name the court one and the gym the other? Hal Summers Court at Marguerite Carter Gym?
I'm
I mean, other than,
certainly not versed in that.
We have two gyms there. We have the annex and we have big gyms.
If they both play into the gym.
Yeah,
I would name.
Yeah, I would.
I mean, I understand.
I've heard it.
well, and forgive me, but what did Coach Summers coach?
He was the baseball, basketball, and the track.
Yeah, I was just trying to like.
1958 to 1982. That's here.
And for the everyone, what did Marguerite coach? I know
Volleyball.
I knew that.
And track.
Yeah, they get early on, yes, you do.
All right, well, I guess the board doesn't really have to vote yet. I mean, if you just, I think if we
Well,
just vote and get it over with,
They say we're gonna do it.
we're gonna do it and then
That's okay.
we finalize the plans.
So I'll make the motion that we do honor Margaret Carter, Hal Summers. In gymnasium. Fashion. Okay.
Hannah, there is no motion in the packet.
I'm trying to,
I forgot to add it.
yes, I
So I might just have to do a manual
know
vote.
that.
That's what
I'll
I'm trying
second.
to.
Thank you.
So, all right, so. Okay.
I made the motion and
Yep. Katie
Tyler
Johnston.
seconded.
Aye.
Diana Mendoza. Nikki Pettit.
Aye.
Tyler Wilson.
Aye.
Robin Vaughn.
Aye.
John Brother.
aye. Okay. Okay, we're going to move on to number 9.
All right, I actually thought you were gonna rename the gym after me. Joke.
You wish.
No. My coaching did not rise to the level
Wait. You coached?
of. I coached, yeah. I'm not on story now.
Yeah, I think you
We'll
better
talk later. I coached.
Let's move on.
I was never a head coach. It's shocking. All right. Next is Rise Academy, and I have some information to read on this one that was in the packet. Real world hands-on experiences are part of what is making Rise Academy a success. The initial plan for Rise called for a foods lab, but this was not included in the initial build out due to time and cost. Most of the hardware and fixtures were purchased last fiscal year, so we do have those items. Currently, Rise Academy does not have a functioning kitchen. Working with our architect and Rise staff, the district is recommending renovation of an existing classroom space into a food lab, that will be used by Rise students and staff for educational purposes, as well as for breakfast and lunch service. Most of the work is to upgrade plumbing and electrical and installation of the existing equipment. A question will come up and I'll just answer it now. The project does not have to go out to bid because it is probable that a project of this limited scope would be more expensive if the district went through the bid process and engaged a general contractor to oversee it as one whole project. You may have questions about the kitchen, but the information about the cost is here. It comes in just under 100,000, if I recall, if I'm doing my math right. That's the information. And those are all contractors that we've typically worked with. But basically what happened is we worked with the architect, came up with ideas, and the full scope of work is in the packet. And he worked with the contractors to get pricing. One of the reasons it would also be a little less expensive right now is if the board approves it, they would start it as soon as possible. The more they can get done before the summer work cycle hits for school construction, the better. This is one of those, if the board approves it, we call the companies as early as tomorrow and start scheduling. So there any questions about it? Mr. Brotherton did come over and we walked over and made sure we knew what space it was, but if you want to see that, we can go over after the meeting. Show you the space, because the equipment's all in there already. And they are using it as a foods lab, but there's no running water. Which is probably the biggest issue, actually, so. But we also, I guess, you didn't ask any questions and I'm just talking, but the part of the idea we had from the beginning was that the breakfast and lunch that we serve was going to flow through that kitchen. And the kids would be assisting with that, with the meal prep, the cleanup. Meal prep of a school lunch is unfortunately not that complicated, but it's a job skill. It's a real life skill that kids would have. As well as doing foods with others, doing other kinds of cooking projects.
I'll make the motion.
But I just have one comment before we do that. That's okay. Is this 99,000, is that pretty well set, or will they come up, say, well, need to add this or that?
I think the only big unknown, and I'm looking right at Jenny, because there's always a risk that there's going to be cost overrun. But the biggest issue here will be the plumbing has to go into the floors. And fortunately, when we did we redid the public restrooms here, it worked out fine. So they've been.
That's some hope. So you think it's.
Yeah, I mean, they've been in the building. They've had plumbers in kind of scoping and trying to determine where all the pipes are. That's part of renting versus owning is, we know where our pipes are pretty well at the schools we own. But yeah, there could be more costs, but it's, I don't, do you have anything to add, Jenny, on this?
Is there a contingency built into the budget?
No, and I would say in general, we do work with Rowan Rousseau and Dave's Electric on a regular basis. Generally, what they quote us is what it's going to be like that. I mean, it's, and I would say even if they run into some challenges, they'll talk to us ahead of time to give us a bit of a heads up. But it doesn't happen very often for that on these type of projects, smaller projects.
This is really a fairly small scale project. To me, the biggest concern is when they're gonna have to cut into the floors, concrete floors to do the pipe.
It is a short run because it's on the other side of the wall that they're coming through is where there is water on that side. So it's just, it is at least a short run that they have to go through to get it there.
I have one more comment. Okay, and the rest of it. I was presented with this, that, well, you're spending all this money and you guys don't even build.
Is that a question?
Yes, what would be appropriate, because I did not have a response.
Well, we have the ability to lease it for the next 15 years. So we're talking about
You said that you prefer to do that, so.
right. So we are planning to be here for at least 15 years. So when you spread that cost out over that time, we're not talking about a huge amount of money for something that we will use every year, ongoing. That would be the main thing. I also think there is probably a benefit to us not owning this building right now because of the mechanicals as far as HVAC.
But you think the village would gladly sell it to us?
No, I have not asked that question, but I don't know how much property the village wants to own, right? So they own a lot of property, so. Yes.
Now, Katie, I'm done. Make some else has to come. I promise I'm done.
I'm assuming, now. But the food service will be rising here, I'm assuming. So,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it makes sense to have, kitchen.
Now,
So-
right now, all the meals are brought over from Ader every day, twice a day. Once a day. Breakfast. I think Katie made a motion. I want to make it again.
Sure, I'll make the motion to approve the items presented.
Get a second. I second it. Vicky seconds it, okay? Thank you.
John Brotherton,
Aye.
Robin Vaughn. Aye. Tyler Wilson,
Aye.
Nikki Pettit,
Aye.
Diana Mendoza. Pete Jones.
Aye.
Number 10, information items, FOIA requests.
All right, so the information we did have a FOIA for, they just wanted to see the lease for our postage machine. Thankfully, Hannah knew where that lease was. So one article that I saw this month, and there was an article from Arizona State University, their media department, highlighting that Mrs. Kirby's class at Rise participated in some activities around the eclipse, which the fact that there wasn't the eclipse was the coolest thing ever. I've now done 2 eclipses in my career with kids at school, and it's super fun. So that's it. I'm not gonna get another chance.
Did you wear the last?
I did wear my glasses. You didn't ask me the other question. All right. The grant agreement with the Illinois Arts Council is included. Information is there this month on summer programming. So where we are right now, there's a lot that we do in this. So that's in there for your information. Several policy updates. There is, so first reading, I have more detail in the agenda as well as the press memo. There's a new policy that's coming out, altogether new 2:270. And so most everything that's the update in this is related to that new policy, which is because of a new law. And so just so you're aware. So that's it for information.
A new business.
Why, yes, Mr. Brotherton. A couple meetings ago, Ms. Vaughn we've brought up the issue of doing some goal setting as a board. Mr. Brotherton and I met with Dr. Perry Hill. You haven't met him yet, I don't think, bro. And he is from the Illinois Association of School Boards. And so we had a planning meeting on Monday or Tuesday. And so mentioned it at the last meeting. So the plan is that the next month at the school board meeting, we will start earlier than normal for the regular meeting at either 5 or 5:30, depending on how much we have on the agenda. So I'm going to do my part to make it a concise agenda, no presentations. And we're just going to vote on what needs to be approved. And then we would go immediately into the goal setting. So the goal setting with IASB is actually an open meeting. So I would know that. So we have to learn what that would look like. It's a continuation of the meeting. It happens in open session. It is open to the public to observe. That's over here. Sorry, I'm going off. Perry will likely have us get into groups, and we may be spread out throughout this area of the whole space into our different groups. So it's more interactive. And those of you that we've done 2 prior sessions with Perry. So, but usually it's just a small group. It's the board members and Perry just kind of stay put. So this is a different process that we'll go through. I'm recommending that we don't continue to do audio and video recording once we start this portion of the meeting, simply because it's not going to work very well. Someone watching at home is just going to see people passing through in the room, and that doesn't make sense to continue to do that. So Perry needs us to decide a couple things tonight. And first one is select up to 5 priority areas. So within that next session, we would be doing goal setting around the priority areas. I'm summarizing this fairly all right. So he said the first 5 on this list are what school districts typically will do. That's student achievement, district finances, programs and services, facilities, community district relations, school climate, behavior, school safety. First 5 are the most typical ones he sees, and then these 2 are other ones that he sees. So which of those or other, we can add, you guys can pick whatever you want or add.
What are the other 2?
I put them on there, school climate, behavior, and school safety. I added. These are the 5, he said that the top 5 are the ones he said most districts do.
Yes, thank you.
We go student achievement curriculum, program services, community district relations, school climate behavior, school safety.
So not finances and facilities.
We're not worried about it. You have to, like.
Thank you.
Chris, they're writing you right out of the district.
Upset her, break her heart.
I'm gonna leave it in myself. All right. Others.
Do you want me to? Like,
I
just,
agree with that.
I agree, sir.
I agree as well.
We spent a lot of time talking about facilities this year. And finances.
And
Yes.
we are gonna continue to talk about this thing. This is more for
The first one.
you as a board setting out goals. So, okay, that makes it easier. So I'll remove finances and facilities. Okay, who participates? Next question.
Yeah.
So that it is typical that it's the board and the superintendent. That's obvious. Do we include assistant superintendents? Do we include district directors? Do we include building administrators? It doesn't have to be all of them. So for instance, you could just say, yeah, let's include the folks that are here right now, at the table, building principal. So it's however many we want can do it.
I think we definitely should include
district directors and the assistant superintendent.
Mhm.
Mainly because our new curriculum director is new, so it would be nice to set our goals with him coming in. And then I think maybe we leave an open invitation to building administrators. If they want to come. They can.
You know, when their boss says, do you want to come to the meeting?
Well, they may have input if they want.
It can all, yeah, okay. Others?
I see the benefits in that. And then I am playing devil's advocate or being a Libra, however you want to look at it, and saying, well, is that going to be too many people? And if we don't have anything, if we're not set yet, or are we just, I don't know, sometimes that's the whole, when there's too many people, you don't get anything settled. Same thing. I don't know. I don't know that my head can narrow it down to say what.
Well, the other way is, maybe, we have our folks who are usually at our board meetings, and I invite in a couple building administrators. And they're kind of on call, right? Like, to ask Jenny a question, we ask Jenny a question, but Jenny isn't necessarily in the actual writing of the goals. I picked Jenny because I can see Jenny. And that's it. The whole admin team is about 20. Are you wanting a representation from the districts, like one building principal, one?
Is that what?
Could be.
Yes, to narrow it down.
I'm open to whatever, I just, in the interest of being respectful of time and schedules and whatnot.
Which is why Robin's idea was good, because she said leave it open.
Yeah.
And then, right? Yeah.
Or maybe just the 5 areas that we're looking at, bring those people in that are like the director and like the director of curriculum, community district relations, stuff.
Well, we don't have a community relations position.
Well, no, but we have.
Jenny is already the director of curriculum and instruction right now, because new guy doesn't start yet, so. But yeah, I mean,
We have the
you're
community.
trying to get.
Liaison person or whatever,
Is that
right?
what you're thinking?
Yeah, well, yeah, yes, I like that idea,
Okay.
because those people, it would help to have their input.
That's right. Can you do without you?
It's up to the board, whatever pleases the board. Hey.
I mean,
But I also think it would be nice to have principles for the school climate behavior and school safety.
I'm thinking like school safety wise, do we have like resource officer we can bring in or?
Not currently.
They're still
Or a representative from them that would wanna
away.
hop in?
I can certainly, yeah. So I'm hearing that you would like to have other folks there that have, and bring something, bring perspective into the conversation.
I think we need to do
Yes,
that.
yeah,
I'm
The
not
whole
hearing
point is for all of us to be on the same page.
everybody has to be here.
right, right.
Well, but you said the point is for us, the point is for the board to give the direction.
For us to get input from these people.
Right,
Right, okay, so then
but if we aren't there and we don't know what's happening, we're not gonna know how to go the direction.
I would rather get direction from the people that are the experts in the area. Because, I don't know anything about this.
and we've never done this before, we'll see how it goes, and Perry says he can do it in 3 hours, no problem.
And you're confused.
And we'll have food, yes, we will have meal. Anna, what are we ordering?
I'm not sure, what does everybody want?
No, not right now.
These are
So,
fine.
and it's going to, the real thing, oh, hi Diana.
Hi.
Oh, I thought you had your hand up. I think it's one thing that's gonna be very strange is that it's open to the public. And so we may be doing this whole meeting for 3 hours and people are sitting there watching the whole time. It's completely allowable. It is okay. I would imagine if we're moving to other parts of the room, that members of the public can follow us around. And that's fine. I asked Perry all about this. He said, yep, it's an open meeting and people can observe. Yep. Just might feel awkward. All right. Any questions on that? I have what I need. Good. I'm done.
Do you have any further comments, Superintendent? Or?
I do.
Cool. Go for it,
Um,
girl.
I want to say how lovely the cyberbullying presentation was yesterday, even though I was the only participant. I was with Dr. Woods, but I didn't feel like you were really, I thought you were just here. But
I'm there because it frightens me as a parent, everything includes, so.
It's very
It's
nice.
very
You've
sad.
seen it
I
elsewhere.
wanted it. I saw it at the conference up there and I was like, we need to do something. And you said we've done it before.
This was a different presentation.
Was
than I've
it?
seen. Usually what I've seen is, I guess I've probably seen statements because they did not get into details of parents, like, she did a little bit, but I've been at them before where they show you how to go into privacy settings, how to spy on your kids.
Oh, I needed that.
Yeah, that's not what they.
That's too bad. Well, I'll learn.
I have my oldest do that for everything.
And the other thing I wanted to say is at work on my Slack channel, there was some comment about, oh, sure would be nice to be able to go into schools and give some type of presentation. I said, oh, I think it would be great if somebody came to Rantoul and talked to all of the students. And then our big boss said, oh, well, Dan lives in Rantoul. And I was like, what? And so I have been trying to actively work with the principals to get one of my coworkers to come here and talk about NCSA and what it is that we do, what we're about. It seems to be going well. It's just availability and can we get it done by the end of the school year, but fingers crossed.
Anybody else?
Dr. April, for all you do, teachers and tutors.
Yes.
What's that saying?
Is that
Oh,
this
April's
month?
easy.
Plant a tree
Yeah.
for Earth
Huh?
Day. Plant a tree for Earth Day.
Yes. I thought you said plant a tree for your birthday.
Oh,
That's
well,
all
my
right.
birthday's in April too, but yeah, if you want to plant a tree for me.
In honor of your birthday.
Yeah.
All right.
Other?
Make the motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?